You've tuned in to the chipsgrooveradio podcast with hosts Mike and John. Welcome, everyone. This is chipsgrooveradio podcast, and I'm your host, Mike. With me today is my good friend, John. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm all systems nominal.
All systems nominal.
If you were a MechWarrior fan, you would get that.
Excellent. Well, yes, today we are covering MechWarrior 2, 31st Century Combat. Yeah, this is an interesting soundtrack, I gotta say. I was not expecting it. I have no history with this, and I was excited to get into it. I think this is definitely something to talk about after seeing what the game is and listening to the soundtrack and then watching a long play. I'm excited to hear your thoughts on this one and know why you picked it.
Yeah, I have a long and storied history with BattleTech and MechWarrior. I've pretty much played all of the PC games. Played RPGs, played the tabletop miniature game, read books in the MechWarrior or in the BattleTech universe. So I love the BattleTech universe, and this is probably the first game that actually grabbed me. I don't think I did anything with MechWarrior before MechWarrior 2.
So what is the relation? Not to cut you off, I just have a quick question. Yeah. What is the relation of MechWarrior to BattleTech? Like, is it an offshoot or is it just a focus down?
MechWarrior is what they named the video games. Mm-hmm. BattleTech is the total universe that everything was built around. So FASA, which is a company no longer exists or was bought by somebody. Obviously, everything gets bought by somebody these days.
It's owned by Walmart.
Oh, yeah. Jeez, that's sad. But
actually, no, it's by Disney.
They developed the BattleTech universe and made role-playing games and the tabletop game. And then in 89, they came out with MechWarrior, which was like a quasi or faux 3D sprite simulator, which was kind of crazy for the time.
Wow.
And then 6 years later, they came out with MechWarrior 2, which is fully 3D mech combat, where it's a vehicle simulation, a mech simulation, where you are piloting these 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 ton mechs that devastate cities and murderate people. But the actual game itself is focused around what is called the Refusal War. With BattleTech, there's a lot of history.
Yeah.
This is a battle between two of the clans, which is the Jade Falcon and the Clan Wolf, who are invading the Inner Sphere, which is where all most humans live in the Inner Sphere. It's a Inner Sphere of planets. Clan left they left with Alexander Kerensky. They had their warrior kind of Spartan style society where might makes right kind of thing. And there was a plan to come and invade the Inner Sphere to retake Earth and become the new Star League, which was like kind of the golden age of MechWarrior. MechWarrior is kind of a quasi-post-apocalyptic where the Star League was destroyed. Everyone kills each other. There's constant war. And this is the Refusal War, where they get stopped at the Battle of Tukiad. They get beat in a trial by the Inner Sphere, and Clan Wolf and Clan Jade Falcon's a Crusader clan. They want to continue fighting, and they think Clan Wolf rigged it, so they lost.
Oh,
so they are fighting each other, and this is what this entire game is about.
Wow,
there's a lot of backstory.
As simple as I thought it would be to look up the history of this game to give that brief rundown, I think my brain tilted After reading 2 synopses by different people, I was like, I still have no clue what's happening. So
all you need to know is big mech stompy things.
Yeah. 2 armies not agreeing on something.
Yeah, pretty much.
And it seems like the mechs are how they communicate with each other. This is their this is their how they language. Talk to each other.
My love language is a ERPPC.
That's so good.
But yeah, this was composed by Jihyun Hwang, who was from South Korea and came to the States. And I think this was his first credit. And I think he actually like bought his keyboard for this. They're like, hey, you want to make music for this game? And that was his kind of his first exposure, I think, to the video game soundtrack.
Very cool. I'm excited to get into it. Quick side note, fun fact. When I was researching him, he apparently contributed the soundtrack to the first 2 Quake add-ons, The Scourge of Armagon and The Dissolution of Eternity. I thought that was interesting because we just did Quake.
Yeah, that's neat. I think he went on to do movies too, so he's pretty storied history now. And I will mention that this was also partially composed by Gregory Alper, who I think did all of the Clan Wolf trials.
Really?
I think I saw that on the website. So he helped out with some of the tracks.
Okay.
Yeah. What tracks kind of spoke out to you?
I mean, I'll just piggyback on that. The first track I wanted to talk about was Temper Edge Wolf Trial 4. It caught me off guard. I think it. Well, first of all, it opens with the synthesizer atmosphere drops. They're very echoey, and discreetly these strings come in, plucking away this really nice, smooth melody to bring the song forward. Mm-hmm. I described the melody as kind of sneaky. It's very plinky plunky. As it continues, it does feel very spacious. And without warning, these deep drums come in to kind of get that beat going. They throw in a piano here and there, hits these key accents. And for some reason, I actually equated this song to when Kyle Reese plows Sarah Connor in the first Terminator. I don't know why, but that's the vibe I got. It's really fraught with this desolation, but at the same time, there's a subtle hopefulness to it. Mm-hmm. I do like the song a lot. It's just when the song gets going, you can see it in your mind. This is the part in the movie where there's a definitive battle and everything is on the line. The sound effects drop out and there's slow motion everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, it has that almost live performance feel to it. It's less like a lot of the other tracks have more of feel more composed composed track wise, as opposed to a kind of live orchestra or group playing. And this definitely felt more like an actual, maybe not like a live performance, but like this was a band in the studio playing, and the piano melody is just very beautiful over everything, and it has that hopeful build up that we're gonna get into this battle, and
in a strange way, it caught me off guard because I think it's MechWarrior, not Mech Serene and Beautiful. I think the song, it shows, at least to me, that you can have this opposing melody to what's happening on the screen or in a game in general, and it really works because it may seem very weird the first time you listen to it, but the second time, third time, it starts to fall together really nicely. So it was unusual to me at first, but it really came together. I like
one of the things about MechWarrior and BattleTech in general is that there is a bit of that chivalry feel to being a mech warrior.
Okay.
There's a code of conduct, especially when it comes to the clans. They're very specific on how you engage in combat. So a lot of the underlying messages of being a mech warrior is a bit glorified, a bit chivalrous, at least if you're, not a pirate or something like that, or a mercenary, but, and it has that kind of grace to it sometimes, where it's that juxtaposition of there is this grace and this code, and you're stomping around in this 80-ton mech, crushing buildings and shooting, city destroying weapons. So
cool.
Yeah.
How about you? What's one song you want to showcase here?
I'd have to say Pyre Light is one of my favorites. Has that like ambient with a rounded synth piano kind of meandering up and down to begin with.
Yeah.
And then the strings really fill out the background with that mirror that mirrors the synth piano. The then kind of builds into this, plucked cello or violin that has kind of this like mystical quality. That's like a lot of minor tones.
Very much so. I like that a lot.
Yeah, the gong just brings us into the chorus. Just this, soft gong that kind of brings the noise together into the chorus.
Yeah, this song stood out to me as well because I think it captures a little bit of intensity with it. It's not exactly an in-your-face song, but the kind of that flighty feel of the main melody is really justified. I think it captures a different aspect of the battle. Like this is almost like where things are about to take off, but they really don't. Like the fight hasn't quite gotten to that level yet, but tensions are rising, and then that gong hits and it gets a little bit more epic. I like it. Yeah,
and I like how the plucked and strummed strings just kind of crescendo into the apex of the song, and then that kind of twinkle of I don't know if it's a xylophone or triangles on top.
Yeah,
it's a really beautiful song that has that kind of very full song that has these beautiful notes that is a bit like you said, like you're preparing for something, something's about to happen, and it can have those minor chords and the minor melodies that are a bit off-putting and a bit melancholic even. It's a very solid track.
Yeah, good choice. To change things up just a little bit, I'm gonna go with Flame Tongue.
All right,
for my next song. This one, you get a sense of it pretty quick. It opens with 3 hits of that deep timpani. It leaves a little bit of breathing room, and in comes this dark cello playing this solitary note. I chose this one mostly because of the urgency and capturing of that moment. I feel like this one captures MechWarrior, the battle sim, a little bit better than a couple other songs. And the strings that play out in this one are very distressed, but they keep that initial melody going. The song then transforms into this really militaristic driving force. You've got the snare drum coming in, the second half of the song. Think any movie with military marches, very machine gun-like. And as it moves, the strings kind of scale up and that urgency is intensified. There's another layer to this song with this background horn kind of singing this weird, oddly sorrowful melody that I really liked. And then after the first third of the song rushes even more with a completely different change. There's some tubas that bring in this really deep brass section, and they spell out even more danger than before, while the timpani gets a lot more frantic and thunderous. There's a small interlude, but the initial melody just comes back, and these two sections then kind of come and go, where it gets a little delicate and then thunderous, like an attack riposte of the two sides, it seems like.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, like you said, there is this kind of two sides fighting it out.
Mm-hmm.
And the second half of the song is just very chaotic, and not like in a bad way. It's just like you feel that pressure building, and you feel maybe the chaos of battle and things going back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
After the kind of initial buildup of the first third of the song.
Yeah,
it's very and
I think that's great that you said that, because I've got written down here that the song is very direct, but that it captures the erratic nature of battle, I think.
Yeah.
Anything could happen at any time. But yeah, I think this one captured the giant mechs fighting and blowing each other up pretty well. How about you? What is the next song for you, sir?
I think I got to go with Silent Thunder Rust Heart.
Okay.
It's a great name of a track. It has this kind of neat electronic arpeggio backed by this heartbeat pulse in the beginning, kind of a more ambient start to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's that sneaking, very ominous sounding, violin strums. Then come in the bongos, bring in the beat with the timpani drums kind of in the distance, the war drums off in the distance.
I do like this one for the drum choice. Like it's got a little bit of a tribal feel to it, and it brings out that clan nature of the story.
Mm-hmm.
If only in a little way. But
right. Yeah, and how like the piano melody kind of is playing on like the lowest of low notes that kind of ambles along.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of a sinister, ominous sound to this entire track.
Yeah. Like it. I think that piano really gives it like a weird spy thriller feel.
Yeah, a little bit. And then the violins have this like nice interlude before the chimes lead us back into the chorus. Mm-hmm. And then it kind of ends on this mysterious radar ping kind of noise, like, oh, the enemy's right over the there's another one or something.
It's an interesting song. Like it's not as battle for me. It's more like recon or something. This one strikes me as gathering information before you make your move.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. That definitely rings true to me. How about you? One more for the road.
One more for the road. I'm gonna go with Blood Split Cold Crescent. Wolf Trial 3. Did you pick that one?
No. Just the track name is
it's fucking long. Hold on.
That's
what happened.
Cold Crescent.
My fucking iPad autocorrected.
Autocorrect.
Okay, so
blood split also sounds
Blood
cool.
Spit Cold Crescent. Oh man. Okay, so the song I'm going with is Blade Splint Cold Crescent Wolf Trial 3. And it's quite simple, I think. If I had to choose, this is probably what I would choose for the theme of the game. I think it magnificently calls forward the image of what's happening. We get a quick chorus to bring in the deep timpani and a thunderous entrance. It slowly builds. Cellos bring forth this brooding melody as violins hit at all the right moments to compel the listener to just focus on it. Suddenly, the rest of the percussion joins in for more of a beat, and the song just takes off after that. The snare is giving us that obvious militaristic overtone while a trumpet blares its own melody. The song eventually crescendos at the end, and the horn hits its last note and fades away. can just, for me, you can see this battle just intensifying as the final moments of the mission are at hand. Eventually, the hero emerges victorious. I can imagine this song accompanying the trailer. I don't I don't know if they did that or not back then, but
it definitely sounds like a trailer type song.
Yeah.
And that single horn over top kind of gives me the vibe that is you're following the hero along with that horn as the chaos of the timpanis, drums, everything around you is happening.
Yeah, I just felt like this one captured the mood of a MechWarrior game. And, altogether the song is relatively short, but very engaging and demanding of our attention. For effect, I wanted to kind of test how I resonated with the game. So I found a long play and I just kind of listened to everything together. I didn't watch it while this song was on. So I have these sound effects in my ears. The missiles are locking, they're launching, there's explosions, the cockpit series telling you all the updates in a very soothing voice, giving you the status of the situation. And all of this is happening while this powerful song just kind of provides an underlayment. And I think it was very effective to kind of experience it that way. I think it worked
Heat
very
level
well.
critical.
It's a good time.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it definitely has that trailer-like feel to it and really brings you into the game itself. I can definitely imagine playing that track and being in a mech cockpit and being in the shit,
Yeah. What about you, sir? One more track.
If I had to pick one more, I think it would be the Jade Falcon trial. It has this kind of war drums sounding at the beginning, and that kind of fits with the Jade Falcon as being the more warlike Crusader clan.
Okay.
And it has this low pan flute or wind instrument with this howling wind kind of sound. Maybe you imagine you're in a plane or in a desert or something like that, where you're having this trial by combat. It leads into this pan flute solo, which is amazing.
It is good.
I love it. I can't go wrong with a good pan flute solo. But overall, it has a very ominous tone to it. It's like played when everything is on the line. If this was a movie, something's on the line. You need to save somebody. You need to get somewhere. You need to fight somebody. It's very ominous that way.
I was gonna say to kind of comment on what you were just talking about. I think if you feel like you're in enemy territory here, this is you infiltrating a base, and you're trying to get through it without causing as much disturbance as possible. So this one has that, I don't want to say sneaky, but you're trying to,
like tension.
You're trying to be careful and mindful of what you're doing. So I think this one just has that quality where you're trying to rescue someone or get the job done with as little casualty as possible.
And then it kind of fades at the end into this frantic piano. Maybe you've been caught or something. But then the ending note is this minor key that just sends chills. It's a very cliffhanger end. Like, they found me and what's going to happen. It definitely has that feel to it at the end.
Yeah, good stuff, man. I really like these songs that we've chosen tonight because I think they highlight different aspects of this game. And to be quite frank, as someone who's never played this, I want to say Huang did a great job at capturing the feel, but at the same time, I think he managed to capture those different aspects. And you said someone else contributed to this, correct?
Yeah, Gregory Alper.
Okay.
Who I think did the scores for their Wolf Clan trials.
And it's cool because I think that they were able to work in a way that got those different aspects to work. I think,
Yeah.
when you've got songs that are more ethereal and atmospheric, it doesn't really jive with the idea of MechWarrior, but I think they did a pretty good job. There were several tracks where on the first listen, I was just like, what? But yeah, I mean, that's part of the fun. It's part of why I'm doing this. You learn and discover things that maybe initially are at odds with what you expect, and then they develop into this cohesive entity. I think the album is exciting and engaging, and overall, I think I didn't have many complaints with anything.
Yeah, I think the only complaint I would have is that towards the end of it, it is a pretty long album. Well, not long. It's long in terms of number. It's only an hour, but it has a lot of tracks, and there are a lot of times where it sounds the same as every other track. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of samey soundtrack in this soundtrack. But when you are composing 26 tracks,
it's a tough job.
It can happen.
Yeah,
it's a tough job. It has that the trappings of someone who has done this for the first time. Not to say that it's not amazing that if this was his first time, that this was what he hit out of the gate, because it is pretty amazing. But you will invariably repeat yourself as well.
Yeah,
when you're just starting.
And I had some of the same issues with it. It's not terribly long, but at the same time, some of those tracks do kind of bleed into each other after a while. Mm-hmm. I will say that there are some that don't really line up for me. There's riding the line of, does this work with this game? And mm-hmm. then there's falling off the edge. And there are a couple that do that. Yeah. So that's unfortunate. But at the same time, it's definitely worth a listen. And the majority of it's great.
Yeah. And it's interesting that the MechWarrior, especially someone who doesn't know anything about MechWarrior, you have this kind of visual in your head about what the game's like. Mm-hmm. But with, I think that some of the songs work really well in terms of the universe itself. That maybe don't come across if you're not familiar with how the BattleTech universe is.
And that's totally believable.
Yeah.
You were saying that the tribal nature of some of the songs captures the Jade Falcon. Is that correct? Mm-hmm. And I would have never guessed that. I think that's awesome. That maybe the composers took that and said, hey, let's look at this more of a universe thing where the people who know BattleTech will bring that knowledge to this game, and we can cater to them as well. And if that's the case, that's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, the two clans in this game, it's kind of a bit of fire and ice. It's the Crusader clan versus a Warden clan. So you have that dichotomy, and you can have that through all the tracks where one clan wants to protect the Inner one wants to rule it. Mm-hmm. It's great that you can play on those themes in each of these tracks. And it's tough too when I can only imagine being a composer and coming into a world. I mean, back then maybe it wasn't as big as it is now, but even then BattleTech was doing pretty well. Yeah. And this was the second major release for the BattleTech universe, or second or third. But really, it was their premiere game coming out, and to have that pressure on you with all that history behind it and all the story behind it, I can't imagine. A lot of nerds might get mad if you get it wrong.
If you do it wrong.
Yeah, but I think this is one of the more beloved soundtracks of the MechWarrior video game franchise.
Yeah,
it definitely is thought about pretty positively in that space.
Yeah, I think it is probably the most popular, just because just looking up his name, this is one of the first thing that pops up. So I think this is his claim to fame.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also could not find somewhere to buy this. Did you see anything?
No, I think the only ones it would come. I think some of them came in like game of the year or whatever, like package deals, but I don't think there's any individual sales, unfortunately.
So I think I would give this album overall, everything considered, the ups and the downs, I would give it a 7 out of 10 mechs destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
What would you give it?
I think just in terms of nostalgia, I would have to give this at least 8 LRM's hit out of 10.
Nice.
But yeah, it's overall like it's a soundtrack. It's a soundtrack that you can certainly put on in the background of just about doing anything. Actually, it's probably one of those soundtracks that's really great for doing kind of rote tasks. Like if you're painting or you're coding or you're doing, research, it's a great track to put behind that. But also if you're gaming as well, there are some tracks in this that kind of get the blood pumping too. So
yeah, I had it while I was billing patients today. It works for that. I was fast and furious on that one.
That's good. Good to hear.
Well, yeah, that is our review of MechWarrior 2 31st Century Combat. I am Mike, and this is John. If you would like to say goodbye, please do so.
All systems nominal. Goodbye.
Channel open. Closed. Channel closed.
Channel closed.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you liked what you heard, please rate and subscribe on your podcast app of choice. Also, check out Magus Media's other podcast, This Is Not Happening, Another X-Files podcast for complete episode breakdowns, insightful banter, and inane babble. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.
Well, hello there, Internet people. My name is Josh, and I am one of the hosts of the Nastagram RPG podcast. We're an actual play RPG podcast, and we're good. And why are we good? Well, let's let the other host tell you. Dan.
Hey, everyone. If you like authentic, real-world sound effects, our lasers go pew-pew.
I love it. Matt.
Skip me. Coming back to Matt.
Ryan.
Okay, so after 2 decades of trying, we finally mastered the 3.5 grapple. We did. Never mind.
Try again.
Scratch that.
Check it out. Look it up.
Cut. John.
If you're looking for a RPG podcast that plays a whole hell of a lot of games, we like to spice the life.
Spice it up.
Spice it up.
Matt, you ready?
Yeah, I think I'm ready. If you enjoy bad accents and overacting, you'll enjoy our podcast.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
And Jake, bring us home.
I like to just say we didn't just throw a phone on the table and hit record. Like, Josh does a damn good job with the editing. And
Facts.
if you care about that, you will not be disappointed.
That's right. We spent a bunch of money that we don't make on the podcast.
100%.
So check us out, Nastagram RPG Podcast. You can find us on all the goddamn podcast apps, and we'll see you there.
That's nasty.